Ever wonder what it would be like to live in a world where breaking a vase could land you in court, or where the color of your clothing could determine your social status? Welcome to the bizarre and fascinating world of ancient Rome, where the laws were as intricate and intriguing as the empire itself. In this video, we'll take a journey through time to uncover the peculiar and often downright strange legal customs that governed the lives of the Romans. Get ready to be surprised, amused, and perhaps a little bewildered as we unravel the peculiar tapestry of ancient Roman laws and rules. So, let's start with one that dictated what people could wear, eat, and even how they could mourn, all based on their social status. Sumptuary laws. Imagine living in a time where the government told you what color clothes you could wear and how many pieces of jewelry you could flaunt. Yep, I'm not joking around. For instance, if you were part of the upper crust in Roman society, you could wear the finest fabrics and sport the most exquisite jewelry. But if you were part of the lower classes, these laws would restrict you from dressing too lavishly or indulging in extravagant banquets. It was all about maintaining the social order and making sure the rich didn't show off too much. At least in theory. Most likely these laws affected Roman women the most. The law said women couldn't wear super fancy and expensive colors, especially ones made from pricey dyes. So, no flashy purples or rich hues. The law set a cap on the amount of gold they could wear, saying it couldn't be more than half an ounce. This rule applied to pearls as well. Luckily for women, this law was relaxed around 195 BCE, allowing them the freedom to dress in more feminine colors again. These laws covered a wide range of things. They specified the colors, quality, and decoration of clothing, and even the types of food and drinks you could have at your fancy parties. There were rules about what kind of transportation you could use too. No luxurious chariots for the common folk. Funeral arrangements were not exempt either. Sumptuary laws regulated mourning periods and the materials used in burials. The idea was to prevent excessive displays of wealth and reinforce the social hierarchy. However, the effectiveness of these laws varied, and the rich often found ways to bend or break the rules. In the end, it was the lower classes who felt the brunt of these laws the most. They couldn't easily imitate the lavish lifestyles of the upper classes, and the rules made sure they stayed in their social lane. The Lex Aquilia, often referred to as the Aquilian Law, is a notable piece of Roman legislation that dates back to the Roman Republic. It is particularly interesting for several reasons. So, if someone messed with your slave or animal or damaged your property, the Lex Aquilia let you take legal action against them. The idea was to make the wrongdoer pay for the harm they caused, and the amount was figured out based on the value of what got messed up. But the Lex Aquilia went a step further. It recognized that your stuff was important too, and if someone messed with it, you had a right to seek compensation. But what if it was no intent needed? Here's the kicker: it didn't matter if the person meant to do harm or not. The Lex Aquilia said, hey, if your actions cause damage, you're on the hook. This was different from older Roman law that often wanted proof of bad intentions. The law got specific about the money. Damages were to be measured in a fixed currency known as aes usuratum. This made things clearer and more objective compared to the older days. What makes the Lex Aquilia stand out is that its ideas still echo in today's legal terms. So in a nutshell, the Lex Aquilia was a game changer, shaping how societies thought about and dealt with harm to individuals and their property. Augustus, the Roman emperor, wanted to boost the number of rich people getting hitched and having kids, so he came up with the Lex Julia law. If you were part of the upper crust and decided to tie the knot and expand your family, the law offered you some cool bonuses. Think of it like getting special treatment and perks in the world of Roman politics. But what if you didn't want kids at all? Now, if you were rich but decided to stay single or avoid having kids, there were consequences. The law threw some not-so-fun penalties your way, including missing out on political opportunities and financial perks. Augustus was all about traditional family values. He believed that strong families meant a strong Rome, so this law was his way of encouraging the rich to settle down, have some kids, and contribute to the growth of Roman society. Basically, Augustus reached into the bedrooms of the elite to shape their decisions about marriage and family, following his vision for a stable and prosperous Rome. Okay, but do you have something bizarre when we talk about Roman laws? Oh yeah, imagine this: tax on urine. What? Yeah, back in ancient Rome, they had this unusual tax on urine. People collected urine because it was useful for things like tanning leather. The government decided to tax this, and here's how they probably did it. Collection points. They likely had specific spots where people could drop off their collected urine. Tax calculation. At these spots, they figured out how much tax you owed based on how much urine you brought. It could have been like a fee per bucket or something. Keeping track. They would have kept records to make sure everyone paid what they owed. They would note down how much urine each person or business brought in. The money from these urine taxes went into the government's pockets. Emperor Vespasian, who came up with this, was all about finding ways to bring in the money for the state, even if it meant taxing something as unique as urine. So you're basically paying to pee? Not you, businesses which used it in various purposes. You know, buddy, nothing is for free in ancient Rome. Just when you thought the life was easier in the past in terms of natural resources and their accessibility, such as water, the Romans are here to attest that all governments around the world are the same in that regard. In ancient Rome, water wasn't taken for granted, and they had specific rules about using water from public fountains. Imagine having guidelines on how much water you could draw. The Romans, wise in managing their resources, established laws to ensure everyone got a fair share. The rules weren't just about keeping a close eye on your water usage, they were a community effort. Limits were set on how much water an individual could take from public fountains, aiming to prevent anyone from hogging it all. And guess what happened if you broke the rules? Penalties awaited you, serving as a reminder to play fair and not overindulge. Considering the challenges of water scarcity in a growing city, these laws were pretty forward-thinking. They weren't just about legalities, they reflected the Roman ethos of sharing resources for the greater good. By enforcing these regulations, the Romans demonstrated a commitment to a balanced and caring society, where everyone had access to this essential resource. Even in something as everyday as water usage, the Romans wove a thread of communal responsibility into the fabric of their daily lives. Sounds familiar? Now, imagine attending a feast in ancient Rome, the decadent spread, the lively conversations. What if indulging a bit too much could land you in legal trouble? Let's explore a unique Roman custom that went beyond the typical dining etiquette. Certainly, back in ancient Rome, they had this interesting rule about feasting. They thought it was essential to show self-control and not go overboard during a meal. So, they actually had legal limits on how much you could eat and drink at a feast. If someone went too far, stuffing themselves to the point of throwing up, it wasn't just a matter of feeling sick, there could be legal consequences. This whole idea was rooted in their belief that being able to enjoy a feast without going overboard showed good self-discipline. Vomiting was seen as a sign that someone lacked control and couldn't handle their indulgences. Beyond the legal stuff, it was also a bit embarrassing socially, so it was kind of a cultural rule to keep things in check during a meal and avoid any messy situations. Discovering ancient Roman laws is like entering a realm of the unexpected. From dressing rules to fist limits, they had it all. Picture being told what color to wear or even getting taxed for your pee. Pretty wild, huh? Overeat at a Roman feast and you might face legal trouble. Romans lived by these fascinating laws. If you enjoyed this journey through history, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more intriguing tales.